Okay, so as some of you may know, I just finished not too long ago Zelda Breath of the Wild. This is a big moment for me. This is my first Zelda game ever. And spoiler alert, I liked it. It was really good. It was really good. I haven't done everything. I got the DLC. I haven't finished it yet. I started it. It's pretty good too. But while the game was still fresh in my mind, like the main story, I wanted to kind of give a little review. That would be fun. And by the way, I streamed the entire game on the channel, so if you want to watch those VODs, they're up. They've been up for a while. So go watch them if you want. Also, quick shout out. My friend was with me the whole time, XD Chiller. He was kind of just keeping me company and helping me through things if I needed help, because he's played the game before. His channel will be linked in the description. So yeah, let's get into it. I have a document in front of me with a bunch of stuff I need to go over, so this'll be fun. And right before we get into it, this video took me a long time to get together, so if you wouldn't mind, drop a fat like and subscribe, because it helps me out. I appreciate it. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to be talking about is the combat and some other gameplay elements. The melee combat's pretty good. It's simple, pretty challenging at times. Not always, but is sometimes challenging. Although Flurry Rush, while it's a really good ability, I think that it's too good because it felt like that was all I should be doing. It kind of like takes you out of the fight sometimes, kind of takes you out of the immersion if that's all you're doing, especially during some of the boss fights, which I'll talk about later, because like you're just always in that like bullet time thing. It's so bad. It's not the worst thing ever. Like, I'm not gonna dock so many points on it, but it's something to think about. Then we got parrying, another ability that's I think is underused for me at least. But it's a really satisfying thing. Like, you get little sparks coming out afterwards. Although that does go with slow motion, so you could say the same argument about it. But that doesn't feel as bad to me because you don't parry as much. Then we get the ranged combat with the bows. Tough because it's hard to get used to the drop, because some bows have different drop. And when I say drop, I mean like arrow drop. It's a little challenging, but I like that because you have to learn it every time you get a new bow. Also, that spicy headshot sound, and then like taking out like a bokoblin in one hit is so satisfying. Ooh, it's beautiful. I also really like the champion abilities because they all have their practical uses. I was thinking that there would be like one that was going to be super useless. I don't know why. I was just like, there's no way I'm going to be able to use all of these. And I can happily say that I used all of them quite often. Especially Rivali's Gale. So good. It really helps with movement. Just getting anywhere, I'm going to use it. If I have uses, I rarely have 3 uses, let's be honest. Like, I rarely have it because I'm using it all the time. My favorite fights in the game were with the Lynels. Ooh, they were awesome. Even though the white main one, I only fought one of those. Very difficult, but when you hit him in the head with an arrow, and then you climb on his back and you start whacking him, and then doesn't do any durability to your weapon, which is awesome. So I really liked those fights. Okay, so on to some of my bigger gripes with the combat. You've heard this before probably 40,000 times. The gear breaks way too quickly. Now, I know this has kind of split the community, but I didn't like it. I'm okay with there being durability, but it doesn't have to break in 3 hits, you know? Like, one of my favorite weapons in the game, the Wind Cleaver. So good. It's like so awesome to swing, and you get the little wind thing out of there. Breaks in like 2 hits. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but it's wild how quickly that thing breaks. Especially shields as well. You get the weaker shields, but they don't feel super weak. Like, they can be like 30 power, and you hit one guardian, you miss a parry, your shield's gone. And then you have like maybe 5 shields. This was me like the whole game. I never upgraded my shield slots. And I was just out of shields if I kept missing parries. So I was like, oh, so I can't fight guardians. So maybe just turn that up. Turn it up a little bit. It doesn't even have to be that much. It just enough to where I feel like I can actually use my weapons. And then there was weapons that like I thought were really cool that I didn't use because I knew they were gonna break. Like, I have a Wind Cleaver sitting in my inventory right now. I have not used it, and I don't plan on using it because I think it's cool and I like it. And in my mind, I'm saving it for something more useful, but I know it's never gonna happen. And then I know I haven't mentioned bows, but the bow's durability actually didn't feel that bad. I felt like it broke in an adequate amount of hits. Still a little less than you'd want, but it never like hurt me too much with the bows. Okay, and then I've mentioned this before, and if you watch my streams, you would know. And this was especially a thing with the Thunderblight Ganon fight. The lock-on system. And I know it's a weird lock-on system. It's almost like For Honor. And you know, if you've watched my channel for long enough, that I used to play For Honor a lot. And it's the exact same lock-on system, except it just does it way better. It's so weird. Like, I can't lock on to anything because you have to be looking at them. Your camera can't be looking at them. Your actual character has to be looking at them. So if you've like run backwards, you can't lock on if the lock on how do I say this? If it gets unlocked, which happens often. I don't know why. It just never seemed to work that well. I would love a lock-on, like a good lock-on system. I've said the word lock-on way too many times. Like, even just make it like a Souls game. I don't care what you have to do. Make it better, please. It was one of my biggest gripes of the entire game. I hated that so much. Alright, that's pretty much all I had to say about combat. Generally, I know I said there were a lot of cons there, I'm being honest with you. Generally, it was pretty good. I didn't have a lot of problems with it. A lot of the bad things I talked about were a lot of nitpicks, small details that I thought could be improved. So generally, combat was pretty good. So now we'll talk about the bosses and divine beasts. The divine beasts were actually my favorite parts of the entire game. I loved doing the puzzles. It was so much fun because they were all pretty unique in the way that you could kind of turn them. I really liked the use. They really made it so you use that. It was awesome. I really liked those, especially Rudania. And not even just the puzzle part, the walking up to it was so cool. I mean, you brought your little dude with you, and you had to call him. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, and you had to like whistle at him to come forward, or whistle at him to stop. I thought that was pretty cool. I thought it was like kind of a fun little gameplay element. I wish the other ones had done something like that. Which actually leads me into my next point, which is what I'll call gearing up stages of the Divine Beasts. All functioned the same. All 4 of them. Without any skipped beats. All you had to do was find a village. Talk to the leader. They'll talk to you. They'll mention Zelda. And then they'll send someone to help you. The leader will never do it. They'll send someone to help you whether it be their kid or someone else, then that person will take you to the beast, and then they'll have to leave once you get there. You can say there's a little difference between the with the wind one. Again, I can't remember the name off the top of my head. Where you were taken to the firing range first, which was pretty cool. But that's the only difference there ever was. I don't know why. And it didn't annoy me to my core, but it was just like, really? You could have spiced it up a little bit? You could have made it a little different? So that's Divine Beasts. I really liked them, but they were... those gearing up stages felt all the same. Other than that, I really liked the Divine Beasts. They were awesome. I wish there were more of them, actually. Okay, now I'm going to talk about the bosses. When I say bosses, I mean just all the Ganon stuff. I'm going to be honest with you. Design-wise, could have done better. All the Blight Ganons, they look the exact same. I mean, they couldn't have given them different hair or colorful weapons. They were all blue weapons. And the character was designed the exact same way. And I know they were all different parts of Ganon or whatever, but they could have at least spiced it up a little bit. You know, they could have at least done that. And you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, I totally forgot. Master Koga is a boss. I totally forgot about him. As I'm saying this right now, I just remembered him. Yeah. One of the more unique bosses in the game. Easily forgettable. Totally forgot I did that. That whole mission felt like a chore. It just felt like a chore and I didn't want to do it. And Master Koga fight was super easy. You know, I didn't really care about it, to be honest with you. Didn't really care. And then that leads me to the next thing. The first three bosses, being Water Blight Ganon, Fire Blight Ganon, and Wind Blight Ganon, were all very easy. Wind Blight was slightly harder, but other than that, really easy 1 or 2 tries. And that would be fine. That would be totally fine if they were all easy and Thunderblight Ganon was easy. Nope. Thunderblight Ganon was the hardest boss in the game. I don't know where that came from. I was excited when I came into it because I like difficult bosses. But it was just so weird, the jump between Windblight and Thunderblight. The vastly different difficulties. It was a hard fight, which is why it was my favorite. It was my favorite boss fight in the game. Absolute amazing boss fight. Although he looked the same as the other ones, but really good boss fight. And you may be thinking, Marsh, you forgot about the final boss. Oh, I got some stuff to say about the final boss. I got some stuff to say about the final boss. It was probably one of the most disappointing final bosses I've ever fought in my life. In terms of difficulty, it was very weird that it wasn't hard. It was incredibly easy. I did it in 1 try. Now, it does make it easier because when you do the Divine Beasts, it takes away half of his health, which actually didn't affect it that much for me because I would have been able to get through it the same, just would have taken me a little longer. It was so easy. And again, wouldn't be a problem if the bosses were consistent difficulties. And I know, and when I say consistent, I mean ramp up, and then the final boss is the hardest. But they don't have to be hard at all, actually. I'll bring an example. Super Mario Odyssey. My favorite game on the Switch. The boss fights are so easy. But they're all pretty easy. There's none that really stand out to me as super difficult. Maybe that mech fight, but it was still pretty easy. And that's what I'm saying. And again, it ramped up throughout the game. That's what games should do. It should be easy and then hard, not easy, 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 incredibly hard, easy again. It felt like when I got there, I didn't have to work for anything. I was just like, oh, that's it? I do want to say, though, I know I'm only talking bad about the last boss. Cinematically, awesome fight. So cool. Like, it was so cool looking. The music was awesome. Everything was just so... It was like... it really immersed me into it. Is that the right grammar? I don't know. Something like that. But cinematically, it was an awesome fight. The cutscene at the end was really good. I have nothing bad to say about it cinematically, but just the difficulty, it irked me a little bit. Out of all the things in the game, the boss difficulty is the thing that's going to dock the most points out of this game, because it's something I really care about. I like it when bosses are hard, but I like it when they're consistent, too. It means a lot when they're consistent. So the next thing we'll talk about is exploration and the open world, which I think is a pretty good strength for the game. It's a huge world with a ton to explore. I mean, you can find multiple different towns. You can climb anything. It's so beautifully crafted too. It almost feels perfect. It's amazing. But that's kind of where it stops. That's kind of where the good things stop about it. When I said you can climb anything if it's not raining. Rain is super annoying. If there's an element in the game that to do something you have to wait 10 minutes for something to stop, it's not good. It's not good. You have to accept that. It was never something that broke the game for me, but it was just annoying. Like, you could have made it hard to climb, but you didn't have to make it impossible. Shrines, pretty cool. There's a lot of them. Same thing with the Korok seeds. It's way too many of those. It's 900. How? Why? There's no point. Which tells you around every corner you're going to find a Korok seed or a shrine. But that's all you can find. Like, those are all the big things you can find. Like, hey, I'm going to climb this hill. I'm going to climb this... Hey, I'm going to climb this mountain. What's at the top? Oh, a rock with a Korok seed under it. Wow. Or there's a little thing where I go into this labyrinth. What's in there? It's a shrine. I know people have said this before. I'm not going to spend too much time on it. It could have been better. Like, they could have added some other cool stuff to explore. But other than that stuff, I liked the world was really cool to look at. Graphically is probably one of the better looking games on Switch, although there's not really a lot to compete with there. Alright, we're almost done here. I won't take up too much more of your time. So, the story and characters. A lot of people say that there wasn't really a story. I think there was. It was just really simple. And it was pretty easy to follow too, if you just paid attention to the memories and some of the dialogue. Not even all of it, just some of it. I love the memories. Oh my gosh, they were so good. Really well directed. Really well animated as well. And it really helped to explain Link and Zelda's relationship, which was really cool to see it kind of have its ups and downs, and really kind of see Zelda's struggles with all this stuff that's going on with her. It was really cool. Now that is awesome, but that means that Link and Zelda were the only memorable characters. I have to be honest. None of the other characters, I could not tell you 5 of their names. I remember 2 characters, Rivali, and the only reason I remember Rivali is because people in my chat were calling him Ravioli, and that's the only reason I remember him. And then Daruk because I thought he looked cool. That is it. I don't remember anyone else. Like, I don't know if I could even give you a name off the top of my head. Urbosa, there's another one. I remember her. But see how long that took me? I don't just know them off the top of my head. I've said off the top of my head 40 times in this entire video. I need to stop doing that. But it's fine. Link and Zelda were the main characters. Like, it's not too big of a deal that the other characters aren't that memorable. But it was just something that was like, kind of made me think, like, they didn't spend a lot of time explaining these characters. They focused a lot more on just Link and Zelda. And that was it. Okay. The last thing I'm going to talk about is music. Now, this is all good stuff. Score was amazing. I don't even know if I can put it into words how good it was. It was one of the strongest qualities of the game. And that might seem like a lot, but for me, that's a lot. Music says a lot about a game. If it has good music, generally a pretty good game. I shouldn't say that because someone's going to have an example of a game that has incredible music but a terrible gameplay. But just even walking out in the middle of a field, just like the simple piano playing, it just like kind of makes you want to take everything in. It was so good. Boss music was really cool. And I have honestly no complaints with the music. It was really good, really good. Okay, so the moment you've all been waiting for. You've heard all of my things, and now you're waiting for the verdict. Now I'm gonna rank this out of 10. Rank this out of 10. I hope you're not mad at this rating, but I'm gonna give the game a 7 out of 10. That may seem very low. I actually struggled to put it that low, but I knew it deserved it. And you know what? A game can be a 7 out of 10, and I can still freaking love it. You know, one of my favorite games of all time, Tony Hawk's Downhill Jam, is at best 5 or 6 out of 10. And I can say that with full confidence. At best, 5 or 6. One of my favorite games of all time. I can come back to that game time and time again and just keep playing it. It's awesome. But I understand that there are so many flaws with that game. Unbelievable amount of flaws. And with this game, I was going back and forth whether I was going to put a 7 or an 8. But I think there's just too many cons for me to put it at an 8. And you know what? And you might even be surprised because there's so many cons that I even put it as high as a 7. Because I think the pros outweigh the cons. Because the pros are way bigger than any of the cons. Because they were all nitpicks. A lot of them were really just nitpicks. But there was too many of them for me to give it any higher than a 7. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And thank you for letting me waste your time. I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.